This is a Bergen Film Club podcast.
Like an old movie removed from the frame, I am floating and looking for someone to blame. Won't you project me on the walls of your heart? I'm waiting for the real thing to start.
Hello, and welcome to The Real Thing. I'm your host, Joe Lawrence. This podcast is an extension of Bergen Film Club. And in this podcast, we talk about the films included in the Film Club's exciting program, why they're cool, why we chose them, why you should go see them, and why they're of any note at all. Today, again, hello, good morning. Caroline Tranberg is back.
I'm back. Another one.
Another one.
Literally,
DJ College Tranberg over here.
Yeah, that's me.
Mm-hmm. Good morning.
Good morning. This is gonna be the epiest episode.
We had some technical difficulties, so we're actually recording on the day of the episode release, which I'm not enjoying. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sorry.
I was stressed out about it.
Yeah, I get that, but
it's fine.
We're here.
We are here. I already told you that I had such an interesting morning.
Mm-hmm.
Google Maps took me on a side quest. I ended up in a graveyard.
Yeah, no,
and here I am.
Here you are.
Here I am. Yeah. I
Interesting.
Hope you're okay.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit sleepy, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. You're already on your bed. You could just go to sleep.
Yeah, no, that's my plan.
Yeah.
Just take a little
just
nap.
Doze off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually been hearing some people have been listening to this podcast to fall asleep to.
You know what? I think that's the biggest compliment because I love listening to podcasts while falling asleep. So
yeah, multiple people have told me that I have a great voice.
You do.
To fall asleep to.
You do.
Maybe my content just isn't interesting enough.
No, your content is very interesting, but you have a very soothing voice.
Well, I was going to say something about my plan to take over the world.
Oh.
By putting everyone to sleep first. And then walking into the White House.
Yes.
And saying, I'm the president now.
Oh, I 100% am down.
My first act.
Mm-hmm.
No more podcasts. Except mine.
Just the Joe Lawrence experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
and the real thing. Obviously.
And the real, yes.
Yeah. The real thing, and then a podcast where I just talk for 4 hours.
Yeah. And everyone has to listen through it.
Yeah, obviously.
And there will be a quiz at the end, and if you fail, you're done.
Yeah, court-mandated podcast listening. That's the new punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so today we're here to talk about a film that we showed just yesterday at the film club, Millenium Mambo from 2001. A Taiwanese romantic drama film directed by Hou Hsiao-Hsien.
Yes.
So, briefly, the plot. We follow the main character, Vicky, who's played by Shu Qi, who serves as the principal narrator of the film, revealing to the audience in 2011 details of her life from the decade earlier. She describes her youth and the changes her life undergoes at the beginning of the new millennium. She works as a She works as a hostess in a trendy bar. Vicky is torn between two men, Hou and Jack, and her parallel love affairs showcase her inner life and her attitude towards her fleeting youth. You done chose this film for the program.
Yes.
Why did you choose it?
So
when did you first watch it?
I first watched it just a couple of weeks before our programming meeting. It's been on my watch list for years, and I really wanted to see it. Mainly because I found gifs on Tumblr.
Not again.
And
Isn't that how you chose a previous film?
I found different from the others from that.
Tumblr. Yeah,
but
you did.
you know what? If Tumblr gives me great film suggestions, I will forever love Tumblr.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched it, and I first of all thought it was such a beautiful film. Just the visuals, the first 5 minutes of the film alone sells the entire film. It's just gorgeous. And I found the story to be very interesting.
Yeah.
A little bit confusing, but when I got oh, this is what's happening, I was so down to hear about it and just be a part of Vicky's life for a little bit. And I also found out that there was just recently released a new 4K restoration of it, and I thought this is the perfect opportunity to show it. And I think this film deserves to be seen on a big screen in a movie theater, because it's so beautiful, and just to be able to immerse yourself a lot more with a big screen, it was I just really wanted that.
And the film club is 4K ready, so we showed it in 4K.
Last 4K film we're gonna show for a while, but we got there, and I'm so happy we were able to.
Yeah, definitely. It looked so beautiful. It's,
yes.
I'm not so familiar with the kind of new wave Chinese and Taiwanese films like Wong Kar-wai. I've not seen a Wong Kar-wai movie, but the way that they are using color and the cinematography so strongly through the storytelling, it was very cool. Something I read a lot is contrasting a blue background with the burning of a cigarette is very, very cool.
No, it's not a lot that happens during the 2 hours in the film, but at the same time it feels like everything is happening all the time, and you're just it feels like a piece of art when you watch it in a way, and you just get so immersed, and every little scene I want to screenshot everything and just put the whole film on my wall so I can be able to look at it, because it's just so beautiful.
Definitely. I think that's these sort of slice of life films, no, they don't have such a extravagant plot. Or it's not a big adventure kind of drama, but you can find a lot of adventure and drama in everyday life, and that's what makes films like this so good, because it's so deeply relatable. And because I feel like you can say one of the things in this film is Vicky kind of going back to a relationship that isn't that good for her. And people can get kind of annoyed by that, why do you keep coming back to a guy who inspects your whole body after you come home every night to see if you have hickeys or you smell of a man perfume. But it feels still very relatable, especially for the character Vicky, because she seems to be very afraid and confused and lonely. So she keeps going back. She knows it's not a good thing for her, but she's so lonely she doesn't know where to go. It's like a comfort. It's almost that she found comforts in things that aren't good for her. Because that's the life she knows in a way. Smoking meth with Yakult. Lovely. That was crazy. Yes. I was wondering how the Yakult was tying into the crack smoking. But it was in there. It was. But that's I guess that's the thing with these films, is that you get so frustrated with it, because it is frustrating, but I think that you just see so much of, you can't help but see yourself in characters like that. Like we showed Girlfriends last semester, and I think that's such a deeply understandable and relatable character, and similarly Worst Person in the World, which absolutely ruined my life. Great film. Oh yeah, it's a great film, but I get that. Just these people making kind of morally questionable decisions, but you're like, that's so frustrating because you know exactly how it feels.
I think the frustrating part is, or the reason people find them frustrating is because they can relate and they don't want to relate, because then they're faced with like maybe the bad or the habits they have that they may want to get rid of, but now it's like in your face and you kind of see it for what it is. Which is can be upsetting but also kind of nice in a way.
I guess it's like a way to kind of feel seen, and usually in these films you kind of see a character work through it. So there's hope for everyone yet.
Yes. There is.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
So it's kind of, as always, I got a lot of my information from Wikipedia. And if you look, I'm not one to disparage Wikipedia. It is a wealth of information.
Yes.
And it's free.
Yes.
Free.com.
Free.com.no.org.
.uk.
Yes.
So, you know, I've put money towards Wikipedia.
Slay.
And you can too. You can put as little or as much as you want to keep information free.
I love how when I went to high school, our teachers were like, do not use Wikipedia, it sucks. And then I got to the university and the professor were like, Wikipedia can be a great source of information.
It can be a great source of information. It's because I don't believe that anyone would lie to me.
Have you talked to your therapist about that?
No. Okay. And the second kind of reference that I'm using is a New York Times article written by J. Hoberman. It's like this short article kind of discussing what we're about to discuss in this episode. So he describes it as a sordid yet transcendent, bathed in neon haze, set to a relentless techno beat. That Millenium Mambo is the story of a teenage girl from Taipei, and is not only the most pop movie the great Taiwanese filmmaker has ever made, but intermittently among the most astonishingly beautiful. He describes the movie having a capital L look, and the 4K restoration does it absolute justice. So this film originally premiered at the 2001 Cannes Film Festival, where it was actually given like a mixed reception and an award for the sound design. Hou's first feature film since his exquisite period piece Flowers of Shanghai, the movie marked his entry into contemporary territory, occupied by his two younger admirers, the filmmakers Oliver Assayas and Wong Kar-wai. Hou's frequent cinematographer, Mark Lee Pingbin, had just shot Wong's In the Mood for Love, and he reprised his voluptuous imagery, cigarettes as orange points of light, in the Blue on Blue disco where Vicky spends her nights, the cramped, cruddy apartment she shares with her emotionally abusive boyfriend and DJ wannabe, Hou Hsiao, is a perfumed miasma. The pad's lush mise-en-scène sets up a shock cut to the gyrating butt in the hostess bar where Vicky has taken a job, where she meets her sometime protector, a benign gangster with a Buddhist streak, Jack. So some took Millenium Mambo as Hou's misguided attempt to connect with a younger generation, perhaps forgetting that he had begun his career as a commercial film director and made more than a few youth films, notably the dissimilar, initially underappreciated Daughter of the Nile. So according to Maggie Cheung, who's the star of In the Mood for Love, Hou had originally wanted her to play Vicky, opposite Tony Leung, her co-star for In the Mood of Love. Then the author of this kind of like reads Shu-chi, who plays Vicky in the movie, but he says that she's like a less subtle actor than Chung, but the movie is actually stronger for it. Stunningly photogenic, remote and self-destructive, alternately passive and hysterical, Shu-chi's character lives in the trance, reminiscent of the Warhol's superstar Edie Sedgwick. As the New York Times critic Elvis Mitchell wrote in his mildly favourable review, the insistence of high-throb electronica calls out to Vicky so that she pounds the thoughts out of her head. Vicky's neurotic behaviour makes Millenium Mambo almost a case history, or given her repetitive voice-over narration, a kind of ballad. At the same time, like other Hou films, it is temporal pretzel. Vicky narrates her story, apparently set in the year 2000, from the point 10 years in the future. Not infrequently we hear about events before we see them. Most mysterious are the brief sequences set in the sleepy, snowy Japanese island of Hokkaido, an alpine environment far different from the steamy Taipei. All these motivated scenes, a flash forward to Vicky's untroubled future, a deliberately unconvincing happy ending a la Douglas Sirk, a fantasy triggered by her chance encounter while clubbing with her 2 Japanese brothers. The director is something of a Japanophile, and that in a spasm of narrative ambiguity, Vicky finds herself in the snowbound town that hosts the Yubari International Fantastic Film Festival. Could support any of these theories.
Yeah.
I think it was quite like a nice article. It's kind of recontextualizing the film after it got its 4K restoration. Yeah, but I very much enjoyed what I saw of it, and I thought she did give a really good performance.
I think she's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I wouldn't imagine that character being anything but hysterical in a way. Like, she has a sucky life.
Yeah.
I would be hysterical.
Yeah,
I'm
same.
hysterical.
You are. But like, she has a DJ boyfriend, which is already red flag.
Red flag number 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who keeps playing loud music when she tries to sleep and just doesn't really take her wants or needs into consideration at all.
Yeah.
It's like him, and he's on top.
Absolutely. And he's like an insanely jealous and controlling character. Like, learning that he purposefully made her fail out of her high school so she couldn't graduate, so she couldn't leave him.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate that.
Yeah, no,
That's really upsetting.
He's awful.
Yeah.
And just like the fact that he forces himself onto her every time she gets home to just look over her and see like, oh, did you cheat on me now?
Yeah.
Did you do that? And checks her purse and everything. It's just very upsetting. Of course she is angry and hysterical. Anyone would be.
Yeah. But I guess also like the frustration that she knows that she needs to leave.
Yeah.
And she shouldn't be with him, but it's like the alternative is being completely alone.
She doesn't really have anyone else to go to.
Yeah.
She talks a bit about going home, but we never really see her go home.
No.
So we don't know if she's actually going home or she's just wandering the streets when she says so. It's Yeah. No, it's I just feel very sorry for her.
Yeah, it's like she's a very, very tragic character. And unfortunately I didn't get to see the resolution. But
no. But she kind of gets a little bit fucked over by Jack as well.
Okay.
Where he kind of just disappears.
Oh.
But she's still like, it seems like she gets her happy ending in Japan in a way, and she meets some new people, and hopefully things will get better for her.
Yeah.
And she never looks at Hou ever again.
That's good. He sucks.
He does.
That actor, I have to say, he played that character very well.
Yes.
He made him so, like, hateable.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Tuan Chun Hao.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a Letterboxd review, which I found relatable, where it's like, the only time in this film I didn't hold my breath was when Vicky was lying in Jack's arm in the car. It's like, yeah, no, that is... Yeah.
Yeah, those scenes are so tense and uncomfortable, and you feel that so extremely in their apartment because they're so on top of each other, and there's no space.
There's like not really any, even though they are in different rooms, they are so close to each other all the time. It's a bit claustrophobic.
Absolutely.
I love the apartment though. Such a pretty apartment.
Yeah, it would be a perfect place to live alone.
Yes, but not two people where one
is a horrible, abusive
DJ. Yeah.
DJs had like a hot moment, I feel, last year, 2023.
Did they?
I feel like everyone I knew was taking some sort of DJ class.
Maybe. Red flag.
And now I don't talk to any of them anymore.
Well, No, DJs can be okay. Just don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not special.
And don't just make music where you have a little, like, meow, meow, once in a while and say that's...
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we could just briefly talk about the director of this film.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know so much about him, and he's kind of a interesting guy,
Yeah.
I would say. So, Hou Hsiao-Hsien is a now retired mainland Chinese-born Taiwanese film director, screenwriter, producer, and actor. He is a leading figure in the world cinema and Taiwan's new wave cinema movement. He won the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival in 1989 for his film A City of Sadness, and Best Director award at Cannes Film Festival in 2015 for The Assassin. Other highly regarded works of his include The Puppet Master, Flowers of Shanghai, and Millennium Mambo. Who was voted Director of the Decade in the 90s in a poll of American and international critics by The Voice Village and The Film Comment. In 1998, New York Film Festival Worldwide Critics Poll, who was named one of the 3 directors most crucial to the future of cinema. A City of Sadness ranked 117th in the BFI's 2012 Sight and Sound Critics Poll of the greatest films ever made. In 2017, Metacritic ranked Hsiao-Hsien 16th on the list of 25 best film directors of the 21st century. So he's held in like huge esteem amongst kind of critics.
It's very impressive. Yeah.
Everybody be loving him.
I guess.
Yeah. I unfortunately didn't. I was wondering if Roger Ebert had any opinion on Hou Hsiao-Hsien, but I didn't find anything, unfortunately. But I can only imagine that he liked him.
I would think so.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
Yeah. There's this interest, like I won't go into it too much because I feel like I'm kind of defaming him in a way. But since Hsiao-Hsien was born in mainland China, and you were saying that in this film it's kind of critiquing China in a way.
Yeah, it's not like in your face critiquing,
like
but it's
jokey.
like a little like, makes sense.
Yeah.
It's from China, yeah.
And as we know, China and Taiwan and the city Taipei have a very convoluted relationship. And despite this, like being recognized as like a specifically Taiwan director and kind of like leading that cinema movement, he still considers himself a Chinese director.
Yeah.
And representing Chinese film, and was also like a big supporter of like the Chinese unification of Taiwan and other states that China has control over and maybe shouldn't.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I was surprised when you told me this first, because it's not like a very like political in people's faces like Taiwan and or Taiwanese people like critiquing China in this film, but it's like a more like a jokey kind of eye roll comment. So it's interesting that he is so pro unifying them.
Yeah, definitely. And like even in the like the very beginning of the film, they're kind of like joking about the Chinese characters and stuff. Like, oh, can you read that?
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I thought this was kind of interesting. Like he said, like, quote, I was born in mainland China, so to me I will always be Chinese no matter where I am, end quote. But a Taiwanese political magazine, New Bloom, describes that although Hu has often been regarded as the, quote, quintessentially Taiwanese filmmaker, end quote, in the West, his personal politics oppose how his films are interpreted by Anglophone critics. So that's kind of like our perception of it.
Yeah.
But perhaps to the people living there, it's maybe a bit more obvious to his
probably
political stance. Yeah.
I don't know enough to pick up on that. Yeah. But yeah,
my favorite tennis player is from Taiwan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite tennis player?
I do. Hei Su-wei. She just won twice at the Australian Open.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
In mixed doubles and doubles.
That's cool.
She is a queen.
Slay. Yeah. I used to play tennis.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never played it, but I enjoy it very much.
It's very fun.
I love to see women succeeding.
Same.
And I love looking at hot men.
I mean.
Yeah. Just like
Fair
we talked
enough.
about last episode on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Hot men, women succeeding.
Mm-hmm. That's all you need.
Believe women's stories. That's why I have you on this podcast so much. Okay. So something you wanted to talk about, and maybe a reason why I chose this film,
Mm-hmm.
is that it has a gorgeous 4K restoration.
Yes.
And this is something, or restorations in general, is kind of something that's been happening for some time
Mm-hmm.
now, but it kind of spans very far back. So I guess my first kind of exposure was not understanding what Blu-ray was when I was a
Mhm.
kid. I just always knew that it was like some sort of like enhanced version of a film,
Mm-hmm.
but that we didn't have like a Blu-ray compatible DVD
Oh,
player, so it was
yeah.
like I can never watch these.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd get like standard definition DVDs advertising Blu-ray, and I'd be sitting there like,
Grr.
But yeah, how did you kind of become aware? Because I guess both of us know a lot about film,
Yeah.
I think. Well, but how
I'd
did
like
you,
to think so.
how did you kind of get into film restoration, or the concept of it?
That's a good question. I knew about film restoration and the fact that DVDs had a worse quality than Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was weird when new films only got DVD releases and not Blu-ray releases. I guess it's a cost thing, but like, why wouldn't you get the best version of the film, a new film? And I think one thing that really kind of sparked my interest, it's not that long ago, it's just like 6 months ago or something. We were showing Ungflucht, or The Wayward Girl, which is like a huge Norwegian film in the way that it's like the first film where, what's the actress name again? I should have prepared this better.
I remember always feeling quite like defiant and protective over standard definition DVD when I was a kid, because I couldn't use Blu-ray. And I was like, who needs Blu-ray?
Who does?
The boxes is smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was one of the first film that Liv Ullmann played in, The Wayward Girl.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's directed by Edith Karmar, which is a huge Norwegian director. And it was just, we were showing it in the film club, this film. And the best quality of the film we could find was kind of a meh DVD. Which was kind of frustrating, because, like, why aren't we taking care of these great Norwegian films? They are part of film history, and it's important to take care of it. And then I think just a couple of days later, I watched a Norwegian film called Villmark, which is also a really good, like, Norwegian horror film. And we watched it from, like, TV2, which is one of the channels. They have, like, a streaming platform. And the quality was so bad. Like, we can barely see what is happening here. And this is, like, this is the best you can get. And I found that very frustrating, that we don't take better care of the films we have.
Yeah.
This Fritt Vilt is like a film from 2006. The quality shouldn't be this poor, in my opinion. And then all of a sudden, I heard about this new project called Norske Filmklassikere, which is kind of made by this guy called Christer Falk, who I honestly was terrified of as a kid.
Why?
I just thought he was very scary. He used to be like, I think it's the Norwegian equivalent of Survivor.
Okay.
He was like the, what's it called? The host, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just thought he was scary.
Okay.
And every time I've seen in a TV show, he's kind of scary, but he seems to be very nice and care a lot about both films and CDs. He also is a part of a project that restores CDs to make the sound quality better.
Cool.
And he started this project called Norske Filmklassikere, where they have Norwegian films that they want to restore to Blu-ray, and a good Blu-ray, a good like restorations, and it's all based on crowdfunding. So if it gets like 16,000 crowns, I think, they will print it up, send it to people who were a part of the crowdfunding, and also start printing up to sell at Platekompaniet, which is like the main Blu-ray, DVD, games store we have here in Norway. They only have one physical store left, which is sad.
Oh, no.
They used to have a big one here in Bergen, but they replaced it with another shoe store. Yeah, very sad. But so this whole project, I noticed, sparked a lot of interest, and I was also very happy because there is so many great Norwegian films out there that is so poor quality that no one really cares about them because you can barely see what is happening on the screen. So I think there's now 14 or 15 films that has been like kind of released, and all of them have been covered and crowdfunded, and they are working on pressing them all right now. So there is a huge interest to get better quality films. And I'm so happy that this is happening and that we get to enjoy these great films in a quality they deserve.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's such a cool project.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'll make sure to like link to
Please
all
do.
this
There
in the
is
show
a
notes.
Facebook group where these get posted. It's like batches, so there's batch 1 was covered pretty quickly. They released like a film a day.
Wow, okay.
And it's like 30 to 40 days to fund them. And all of them have been funded.
Wow.
Like, people are super passionate about this. Batch 2 was just been finished founding like a couple of weeks ago, so they are being worked on and printed out.
Relatively new.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Wow. Very cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And they're also doing books. They are going a bit slower, where they write about some of the films, and hopefully some of these films will also be released in a better version, because one of them is a book about Villmark, and I'm like hoping they're gonna make a Blu-ray version of Villmark, because it's a very fun and scary film, but the quality is shitty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I thought maybe just to kind of close it up, I would talk a bit about like the concept of film preservation or restoration, and then kind of like what kind of like larger scale efforts are being made kind of like within the industry itself. Yeah, because obviously there's probably lots of small projects.
Oh, definitely. People who are just very passionate about this, but you can only do so much by just being passionate.
So, film preservation or restoration describes a series of ongoing efforts among film historians, archivists, museums, cinematheques, and non-profit organizations to rescue decaying film stock and preserve the images that they contain. In the widest sense, preservation assures that a movie will continue to exist in as close to its original form as possible. For many years, the term preservation was synonymous with duplication. The goal of preservationist is to create a durable copy without any significant loss of quality. In more modern times, film preservation includes the concepts of handling, duplication, storage, and access. The archivist seeks to protect the film and share its contents with the public. Film preservation is not to be confused with film revisionism, in which long-completed films are modified with the insertion of outtakes or new musical scores, the addition of sound effects, black and white film being colorized, older soundtracks converted to Dolby Stereo, or minor edits and cosmetic changes being made, which I guess is a nice distinction. By the 1980s, it was becoming apparent that the collection of motion pictures heritage were at risk of becoming completely lost. Not only was the preservation of nitrate film an ongoing problem, but it was then discovered that safety film, used as a replacement for the more volatile nitrate stock, was beginning to be affected by a unique form of decay known as vinegar syndrome, which I will talk about, and color film manufactured In particular, Eastman Kodak was found to be at risk of fading. At that time, the best known solution was to duplicate the original film onto a more secure medium. A common estimate is that 90% of all American silent films between 1920 and 50, that all silent films made before 1920 and 50% of American sound films before 1950 are lost completely. Although institutional practices of film preservation date back to the 1930s, the field received an official status only in the 1980 when UNESCO recognized moving images as an integral part of world's cultural history. So vinegar syndrome is basically this thing that happens to acetate film. In the beginning of the 80s, there was a great deal of focus upon the film's stability following frequent reports of cellulose triacetate degradation. Cellulose acetate releases acetic acid, the key ingredient in vinegar, which is responsible for its acidic smell. The problem known as vinegar syndrome, this accelerates degradation within the film and can also contribute to the damage surrounding the film and metal and machinery.
Yeah, so kind of, if I remember correctly, if you watch like a film on a film roll, if it looks a bit pink, the picture, that's usually a huge sign of vinegar syndrome.
Yeah.
So it kind of just decays almost. Yeah.
And if you would like to know specifically more about the handling of film and also more about this, we do have the special episode where we spoke with someone, an ex-projectionist from BFI.
Lexi, right?
Lexi,
yeah,
indeed. From our 2 specials that we did, Function of Film. So if you want to learn more about that, she gave a very, very in detail history of everything about film.
Yeah, no, Lexi is super smart with this. I got my 35mm certification from her.
Yeah.
So I learned a bit about both vinegar syndrome and just film on film.
Yeah. But if you want to listen to someone expertly talking about it, then please go listen to that episode.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So in terms of the kind of like larger scale efforts, this goes all the way back to the beginning of the 20th century. In 1926, Will Hayes, a director, asked for film studios to preserve their films by storing them at 40 degrees at low humidity in an East Kodak process, so that schoolboys in the year 3000 and 4000 AD may learn about us. In the beginning of the 70s, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, aware the original negatives of many of the Golden Age films had been destroyed in a fire, began a preservation program to restore and preserve all of its films by using whatever negatives survived, or in many cases the next best available element, whether it be fine-grain master positive or mint archival print. From the onset, it was determined that if some films had to be preserved, then it would have to be all of them. In 1986, when Ted Turner acquired MGM's library, which by then had been included in Warner Bros.'s pre-950, MGM's pre-May 1986, and a majority of the RKO Radio Pictures catalogues, he vowed to continue the preservation work MGM had started. Warner Bros. Discovery, the current owner of Turner Entertainment, continues the work today. The cause for film preservation came to the forefront in the 80s and the early 90s, when such famous and influential film directors as Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorcese contributed to the cause. Spielberg became interested in film preservation when he went to view a master of his film Jaws, only to find it had been badly decomposed and deteriorated a mere 15 years after the film had been filmed on film. Scorsese drew attention to the film's industry use of colour fading film stock through the use of his black and white film stock in the 1980 Raging Bull. His film Hugo included a key scene in which many of film pioneer Georges Méliès silent films are melted down and the raw materials recycled as shoes. This was seen by many movie critics as a passionate brief for film preservation wrapped in a fanciful tale of childhood intrigue and adventure. Scorsese's concern about the need to save motion pictures of the past led him to create the Film Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to film preservation in 1990. He was joined in this effort by fellow filmmakers who served on the foundation's board of directors. Woody Allen, Robert Altman, Francis Ford Coppola, Clint Eastwood, Stanley Kubrick, George Lucas, Sidney Pollack, Robert Redford, and Steven Spielberg. In 2006, Paul Thomas Anderson, Wes Anderson, Curtis Hanson, Peter Jackson, Ang Lee, and Alexander Payne were added to the board of directors of the Film Foundation, which is aligned with the Directors Guild of America. By working in partnership with the leading film archives and studios, the Film Foundation has saved nearly 600 films, often restoring them to pristine condition. In many cases, original footage has been excised or censored by a production code in the US from the negative original has been reinstated also. In addition to the preservation, restoration, and presentation of classic cinema, the Foundation teaches young people about film language and history through the story of movies, an educational program claimed to be used by over 100,000 educators nationwide. In the age of digital television, high-definition television and DVD, film preservation and restoration has taken on a commercial as well as historical importance, since audiences demand the highest possible picture quality from digital formats. Meanwhile, the dominance of home video and ever-present needs for television broadcasting content, especially on specialty channels, has meant that films have a proven source of long-term revenue to a degree that the original artists and studio management before the rise of media never imagined. Thus, media companies have a strong financial incentive to carefully archive and preserve their complete library of films. So it's nice that those institutions exist to kind of ensure that films are going to be around, and films of the past will hopefully all be reinstated and be able to be watched.
Yeah, no, it's very important to, because film is a part of history. No matter what you say, it's entertainment, yes, but it's also a huge part of history.
Absolutely.
And having a lot of the films just be on like film, it's very easy to lose or to ruin, and then suddenly that's how we get lost films, because they were either just printed on, like you mentioned, a nitrate film, which is very flammable.
Yes. Like,
it will catch fire so easily. Yeah. And that's how you lose a lot of film. It's like, it's gone, it's burned up, and that was it.
Yeah.
It sucks. And, so it's just very important to take care of these and restore them and handle them with care. Because losing them would be tragic. It's like we talked about different from the others in a different podcast episode I was on, where a lot of the film is just burnt up and gone. And we have lost like such a huge part of what I find to be very important history from 1919, where they talk about queer people and they talk about trans people. Yeah. And no one really knows about it because it's so, the film is broken and most of it is just gone. So, I appreciate that people are focusing on this and want to restore these films, because it's important that we can still watch these old films in 100 years if the earth still remains in 100 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just saying, like, I knew of this project from when I was quite young, through watching DVDs, actually, because there would be a commercial that Martin Scorcese was in, and I was like, who is this tiny little man?
What is it?
And he was talking about a recent restoration that he had been a part of or done of the movie The Red Shoes, which I think is one of his favorite films.
Yeah.
And that's how I came to kind of understand the process of restoring film, because I even then was like seeing what the original looked like to what the restored looked like, especially in a film like that when the color is so important.
Yeah.
It was like super incredible. And it's very cool. Like, he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not afraid to say it.
Well,
Martin Scorsese is a cool guy.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. But similarly with film restoration, recently, so Jaws actually got a 4K restoration a few years ago, because I saw that in the cinema.
Sick.
Was very cool. A lot of my friends hadn't seen it.
I don't think I've seen the whole of Jaws. I know.
Anywho. But I think these are just like often films that I have seen is because my mum would have showed them to me, or it's the kind of film that's on almost every day on some channel in the UK.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But a lot of Stanley Kubrick films got a restoration recently. In recent, like maybe the past 5 years, kind of beginning with 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I saw in the cinema. And I remember it was I was super uncomfortable during the screening, so I remember it very vividly because I was like, this film is so long, and kind of boring.
Oh.
But visually very impressive.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like I was stupid because I didn't get it. And I am stupid. But
don't sell yourself short.
And Eyes Wide Shut got a restoration recently as well.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can just throw Stanley Kubrick under the bus.
Yes.
One time, again, I think I've talked about this before on the podcast. So Stanley Kubrick, as we know, famously was quite an intense filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure I get this guy's name right. We know that he was very intense, nay, abusive to Shelley Duvall.
Yeah.
During the filming of The Shining, which she has talked about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a man called Leon Vitali, who unfortunately passed away 2 years ago, who was just like obsessed with Stanley Kubrick. He plays in Barry Lyndon. He was an actor originally, and then he came to be in Barry Lyndon, which I also think got a restoration recently.
Oh.
And he just became Stanley Kubrick's kind of right-hand man, and basically became his personal assistant, his director assistant, his director of photography assistant. He was just like
right hand man.
Yeah, he was the everyman on the set. And there's this incredible documentary which I will recommend called Film Worker, which is about Leon. And there's all these stories that Stanley would be like super horrible or intense to someone, and Leon would kind of come in to kind of be like, oh, he doesn't mean it, just give it everything you want. And the actor who plays Danny in The Shining was just like, he remembers spending so much time with Leon, but Leon sacrificed so much of his own life.
Whoa. Yeah.
Not spending Christmases with his family because Stanley was alone and would call and be like, come over, and then he would. But the restorations of Stanley's films were done single-handedly by Leon.
Whoa.
And it's just
that.
It's incredible, but in the documentary you see him just sitting in front of this console, running the film through, and he's just sitting there just for hours and hours and hours, and people are like, his friends are just like saying, we try to get him to sleep, and he just doesn't because he's so dedicated to this man. So yeah, I just wanted to credit him for his restoration and his work, because he was such a passionate guy.
Yeah,
and
that's
he really, and he looked so much older than he was, because he was just been worked to the absolute bone his entire life by Stanley, because he so took advantage of him.
Oh yes.
But Leon just wanted him to, because he thought he was just this most incredible guy.
That's so sad to know he dedicated his life to Kubrick for nothing, basically, or not for nothing, but yeah.
And he helped finish Eyes Wide Shut, because famously Stanley Kubrick died before the end of the production of that film. So, and because Leon knew him so well, he was actually the one who sort of helped the film through the end of filming and in post-production as well.
Wow.
So you can credit a lot of Stanley Kubrick's success to Leon Vitali. So just a quick restoration, Leon Vitali, Stanley Kubrick hating side note.
No, that's great.
Yeah, I just wanted to shout him out because I was so impressed by him.
Yeah, no, that is impressive.
I know that he died some years ago, but I only found out recently, I guess. So yeah.
No, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ate today.
You did.
And you ate today.
Thank you.
Yeah. We should record it 10 a.m. every day.
We should.
Yeah.
Wow, we have so much interesting to say.
I know.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on.
Of
again,
course.
Obviously. Love having you on. So knowledgeable.
I love being on. I feel so smart.
Yeah. Fret not, because Caroline will be back in 2 weeks.
Yes. So
got a break for a week. You can collect yourself and be back to talk about the
incredibly true adventure of two girls in love.
Exactly.
Longest title we have.
Yeah.
It was difficult writing the review for this one because we have a word limit of 75 words in Norwegian, and 150 in 100 in Norwegian, 75 in English, something like that.
Yeah.
And the title itself takes like half of the word count.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to talk about
Happy lesbians.
Happy lesbians.
Yeah.
So fear not, I will be back very soon.
And probably again.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
This has been a Bergen Film Club production. Our music is by Wise John. Check them out on Instagram at WISEJohnOfficial. Our logo is by Pia Sofia Brentesen. This episode was produced, mixed and engineered by Joel Lawrence. Our researchers are Inke Shilprai-Bern and Mamina Nazmajid. Want to talk to us about films? Then please send us an email at podcast@bergenfilmclub.com. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter @TheRealThingPod. Check us out on Letterboxd at BFK The Real Thing. Thank you and goodbye. Listen, follow, leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts.